What up, what up? Welcome to Macallan and Friends, brought to you by Upstream. Glasses up.
Last episode, for those of y'all who tuned in, we got some good feedback, man. We spoke about social media, the effects it has on our culture, not only the athletes, so we moved into just a common man, the effects it has on our culture. This week, I'm not gonna lie, I'm excited. I ain't even gonna try to hide. I'm pretty excited, but at the same time, I want to make sure that we're so much to say on this topic, right? Disclaimer, but we want to make sure that we communicate a lot of the things we want to communicate that we feel is somewhat important. And this, we even think this requires maybe multiple parts, but nonetheless, today we're gonna, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, obviously we're really gonna get deep into this topic, and we don't mean to offend anybody or any group of people. Just start off by saying that.
Yeah.
That's a good start. We just trying to open up conversation, like we said from the beginning.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing here.
Yeah, and going back to the vision, we really want to open up conversation. We're realizing we are gonna get into more difficult topics, more topics that require a little more wisdom, and most importantly, love on our end, because we want to make sure we're considering everybody. But we also want to open just the narrative and what it is, and this week, for those of y'all who tuned in last episode, we spoke about social media. Within that, we honed in a bit on dating, relationships, commitments, and I feel like, man, we have so much to say on that.
Yeah.
But we knew we didn't want to get too deep into that topic just yet. But today, I say we're going to get a little more.
That's what it's about. That's what it's about.
In that topic, about relationships, commitment. Yeah, but with that said, man, I know we sparked the conversation already, So last episode, I'll let you come in a bit here, man.
So last episode we spoke about the whole dating, and we spoke about dating apps. But what came from that conversation was that we called people disposable. Obviously, everybody's dating. You see but at the the marriage rate is at an all-time low.
Yep.
Divorce rate is high. Fertility rate is low. People are still dating, so what's going on is that people are disposable. People are dating, seeing each other for a few months, a few years, and moving on to the next person, and so on and so on.
Yep.
So we kind of want to speak on that, and I mean, is it a fear of commitment? We threw that term out there in our meeting. Is it a fear of commitment, or where does it come from? So we're pretty much going to challenge that, because it's something that needs to be looked at.
And I think the big umbrella is we look at our culture, and what's important in our culture. This is a certain conversation we even had on our way walking over here, talking about just the family unit, community, and really what that means to our culture, society, and just as individuals, like who we are as families.
Speak on the importance of the family on the community, because you made some great points I remember on that. So
definitely, man. So when I think of family, I feel like we have so many things as far as challenges, right? As far as different things that come our way, as far as when we think of government, society, and all that stuff. But ultimately, I like to bring it back to the family. One, because statistics shows that the most important thing is having a healthy family, right? So when you go to a good community, or a place where they're going a certain direction, it's because the family is healthy, right?
So it starts with the family. So the community. The growth of the community comes from the family, or what the community is going to become. You have good families, you're going to have a great community.
The growth, but most importantly, the health of the community.
The health.
You know what I'm saying? Because within the family, you get everything else aligned, right? It doesn't mean it's perfect, but there's a sense of commitment that we like in our culture. There's a sense of responsibility, and there's also an acknowledgement of roles as men and women.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? There's an acknowledgement of like what we play and lifting one another up in our community, so I think about family, because I think we go to so many other places usually, point so many other fingers, not that those other things might not play a role, but I would boldly say the heart of it is family.
Well, yeah, I mean, even if you go into like struggling communities, where you'll find struggling communities is broken homes, fatherless kids, that's been proven that fatherless kids leads to like, gang members, and obviously we all know about the issues with like girls raised without their fathers, and all those issues that causes. So you're definitely, you're absolutely right. A good community usually means a good family, and good communities are built through good families. So you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, man.
So why aren't we getting families? Why aren't we getting these marriages and these great families that lead to great communities? What's going on? Why we've taken a step backwards? Why is that?
I think that's such a good question. You know, the first thing that comes to mind is we have to examine our generation. Like
millennials.
Like we have to examine.
I'm almost ashamed to be a millennial. I just want to put that out there.
Oh man! All right. Before I continue, all right, go ahead. Go ahead. You just threw an axe out here.
All I wanted to say. I'm almost ashamed to be a millennial because it's like and this is just going off our last 2 episodes, and now this is our third. But there's always negative connotations, you know, with millennials. Like I think we're backed up in everything.
Yeah.
But
it's like we're not living up.
We're not living up to anything. Yeah. But as a generation, I will say that we've been given the short end of the stick.
Oof.
We have been given the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want me to get into that now or you want to go ahead and speak on what we were just talking on.
No, okay.
You know what? I'll jump right in.
Let's jump in, man. We got much time here. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a deep topic. We just hope to express a lot of what's in our hearts here. But
so obviously, millennials right now, we we're about to make up for most of the population in the U.S.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop you right there. Millennials, statistically, we make up 73 million people.
Okay.
Right? And just I don't know if you're going this direction, but out of those 73 million, 59% have never been married or express and the sentiment that they don't even want to get married.
No. You know, millennials, that's the last thing in our mind, right?
Yeah.
Marriage, right? So obviously the average age of marriage has risen. It's now 27 for women, 29 for men, which used to be back in the 60s, 20 for women, 23 for men. So we're off at a later
that's
start,
that's good. Right? But on that, I just read today is even higher in urban cities.
Okay. Oh wow. That's us.
So that's a national statistic.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Where they're and this, for those of y'all who are from a big city, we from New York and looking at cities like this, the figures go up to even mid 30s. You know what I'm saying? Early 30s for men and mid 30s for men, early 30s for women. But nonetheless, man, that is a drastic change from the prior generation.
Yes.
And how they were getting married and things like that. You know?
They did, yeah, exactly. But again, we've been given the short end of the stick, to defend our generation, I guess.
That's what I want you to speak on. So you keep saying we've been given the short end of the stick and you're referring to our culture, society.
Our culture and society has really made things difficult for us. Last time we spoke about social media and what that has done, to us.
We tackled one area of it.
Yeah, how it's made us disposable and all that good stuff.
Yep.
Now we're speaking on our culture and what it's done, right? So obviously women are out working, because why? Because the way the economy is going right now, we need, 2 parties to be bringing down an income.
Yeah, the way the economy is working, but was it
designed that way?
Was it designed that way? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, no. Well, that's the thing. It was definitely designed that way to have both parties working. But
why you say definitely? You got to explain that. Because
you see that design that goes into another topic on why the design was to pull the family away.
Yeah.
I guess what I would definitely concentrate on is the fact that is the case. Like we can all agree and see that is the case. That for an average home, let's say 2 average salaries to survive, you need them both. It's not like before where the one guy can go out and work and the mother can stay home with the child.
That's no longer really possible.
That's no longer possible unless that one guy is earning that much more money. But is the woman going to want to be okay with staying at home?
But
which she's not. No, the modern day woman is not okay with.
Oh, it's not with staying at home. You're saying?
Yeah, she's not
okay with staying at home.
So she's needed to be out in the workforce.
But why isn't she okay to stay at home?
And that's what our culture has done to us, and that's feminism. You see what feminism has done. Feminism has basically... Now, let's just start off by saying feminism is extremely necessary.
Yeah,
right?
I feel like, let me say this, man, about when I think about the feminist movement. When I think about the feminist movement, I feel the heart behind it. And when you look at the beginnings of direction they wanted to move and things they wanted to do, I would sense is a sense of purity to that. Why? Because these are things I think women should be fighting for, right?
Yes.
Because men are not better than women. No. For starters, let's start with that.
And there are men who were oppressing women. Women
exactly,
were oppressed.
Men. So all these things you need to fight for.
Yeah.
But I think when I think of feminism now in the movement, not even when I think, these are what some of their values speak into now.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the big thing is, I think it's no longer fighting for equality.
No. It's still disguised that's fighting for equality. But as a man, what does it feel like?
Yeah. But this is the thing. is the reason I say is not fighting for equality not because, hey, I don't want you women to be as equal as us, or I don't want you to be, is that you are not us and we are not you. Right. Yeah. And what I mean by that is we have a unique and beautiful design behind it. What I mean is like what women can do, men cannot do. And what men can do in certain cases, women can't do.
So we both have different strengths, is what you're
We
saying.
both have different strengths. And those strengths, and it's not to say that a woman can do a man's job in certain cases, but when you look at design, it's supposed to be a complementary relationship.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yes. Where the man is using his strengths and the woman is using her strength. Yeah. So out of that comes this fruitful relationship that benefits not only the family, but the community. Yeah. And in turn, even a nation, which is even a bigger conversation. But this is why I'm bringing it back to the family.
It starts with the family. Yeah,
and then speaking about feminism a little more, I feel like they're going into the notion more and more of bringing, of esteeming a career, right? Esteeming kind of like this influence at a place where now motherhood and being a wife is looked at as this is not as important, right? Or this is like secondary, right? And statistics show that now the main priority for women, right, coming out of college, studying something, is really to get a good career, not raise a family.
Well, here's some facts. Women are going further in their college careers as far as women women are earning, how can I word this? Women are earning higher degrees than men, right? So that's a fact. And another fact is women without kids are earning more than women with kids. So there's an incentive for women to actually not have children.
Women without kids are earning more
than women with kids coming out of college.
Yeah.
Makes sense, right? So there's an incentive for women to basically say
prices are going up, responsibilities are
exactly.
That's a whole different,
and that's going to slow
through
down.
Inflation, everything happening in our economy. Two parents having to work, that in itself makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So now there's an incentive for women to avoid having a family or being, a housewife or whatever the case is, for taking on that kind of role.
But even that term, like
that term has taken such a negative connotation.
Man, that term has taken kind of just as negative connotation. But now, like, you think of that, and I'm like, if I'm honest, that's one of the most admirable jobs.
No, honestly, the modern day woman wants to be the girl from Scandal. That's how I look at it. It sounds silly. I think the modern day woman sees
what's her name? Olivia Pope.
The modern day woman is Olivia Pope in her mind. So
and what you think is wrong with that?
I don't watch Scandal. Does she have a family?
I watched Scandal before. She does not have a family.
So that's one thing that's wrong with it. That's the one.
I don't know where they at in the season now, but I watched it early on. Maybe she has a family now.
Wait. What's she see? I only watched the first 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah, I watched it.
I actually watched it with my girl. I wasn't into it, but I know that she was like the side girl for the president, right?
Yes.
Well, just continuing. Let's just throw that out there, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But I think what you're alluding to is her main priority was power, good career, influence, and really being that woman that people call, right?
You know what?
Like, so they called her the fixer.
Yeah.
But
let's just call it for what it is. So basically, what we kind of walked around was that feminism created competition between men and women, right?
Yeah, it
created competition.
It created competition. So wait, you got to explain that a little bit. What you mean by that?
Well, what it was, feminism. Obviously, equality to men is what feminism was attempting to achieve, and I think in when it comes to like right to vote and stuff like that is definitely
those are the pure things that like as men we should even be fighting along.
Yeah,
and you know what I'm saying? Like we need that.
And also, women that are working the same kind of job as a man should be paid the same. So feminism is working for
that's
stuff
another
like that.
phenomenal one. Like we don't want to dismiss those points because it's not about bashing feminism. Is where feminism kind of has become now. And what they value over, and like not only what they value, but when you esteem something at high, it always comes at a price.
So feminism has become pretty much competition to men.
Yeah.
And another thing where I feel like millennials got in the short end of the stick was just pop culture in general. Pop culture has done to both sexes, not to just gang up on women's role. I think women have definitely suffered, and the family has suffered through feminism. But pop culture has also hurt women and hurt men equally.
Culture is a big one, man. This is now even beyond just.
But let's say stick with pop culture because that's popular culture. That's what that is what the TV is telling you is what the right thing to do.
Would advertisement
fall under advertisement, of course.
Okay,
everything popular. Everything popular. Everything in your face is pop culture. And what has that done to the modern day man and to the modern day woman? That's why I say, millennials, of course, millennials grow up and the last thing we want is marriage. The last thing we want is kids.
Yeah,
because
man.
We've been given a short end of the stick. So, you have women who are now more promiscuous than they used to be, to be kind, right? You have men who are less masculine than they used to be. So now you have women running around saying there's no good men, and you have men running around saying there's no good women. The modern day man, through pop culture, wants to be with countless women. Like that's the cool thing,
and
right?
And that goes back to, again, pop culture and what we've been sold as far as what a man is supposed to be and what a woman's supposed to be. So now, naturally,
since kids,
remember, but naturally, what you do, because that's what you see around you, right?
Yeah.
So, that's what you see in ads. That's what you see in TVs. That's what you see on Netflix. That's what you see everywhere you turn. So you feel like not being that is actually not being a man, but really they're kind of like forcing that view on you. Like this is something interesting I got here. Back in the day, ads, when you beauty, cosmetic, all across the board, they in like 2003. Well, even before 2010, when it was 15% of ads had a sexual arouse to them, like a sexual
sex sells, pretty much.
Sex sells, exactly. So they had 15%. By 2003, 27% of ads, right? Talking about alcohol, computers, furniture, all types of stuff. They try to advertise it with sex. Even cereal, I've seen it advertised. It's just crazy. So in 2003, that rose to 27%.
But the sex really sell.
Huh?
Because I was reading an article where...
The what?
And I wish I would have pulled it. No, actually, the sex really sell.
The sex really sell.
Because I understand that advertisement, like these marketers, their idea is that sex sells and they're putting it on all kind of advertisements. I mean, you really can't, you can't avoid it.
You can't escape it.
You can't escape it. But my thing is that what's really selling? Like, are you ultimately buying something because there's a sex implication in it?
Well, I read something along the lines today when I was reading an article about how it's proven that certain products that shift their marketing towards sex, woman, and kind of this appealing act of sensualizing the product do sell more.
Okay.
But what were you going to say on that? You feel does it really sell?
I read some study that basically showed that, they did a study there was like a case study and man, I wish I would have definitely caught it. I didn't know we were going to go there, but basically showed that, when people are buying these products or they don't remember any kind of sex connotation in it, or they don't refer any kind of sex connotation in it. And a lot of times they don't even, sex is put in our face so much that sometimes it's there and we don't even look at it as sex. Like it could be something like even like a food commercial,
but that's
or like a
they
girl
got so
biting
good
onto
with it.
Something.
But that's because they got so good with it, and we already programmed to think that.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So maybe it's not a sex ad. That's a good point. Maybe certain stuff we're not, but we see so much.
We're unconscious attracted to it.
Even in other ways, we're like we have a bias towards like, oh, if a woman is biting an apple, we're already looking at that. But I would also say the men is wired visually and they're taking advantage of that.
Yeah. So again, millennials have been given the short end of the stick in all these reasons because we've been given all these challenges through our culture, through the economy that we've been raised.
So you think it's more difficult for us to combat that?
It's much more difficult
to push back.
Yeah, and it's a reason on why it is that our marriage rate is low. Like millennials, we're moving in together as couples before we're getting married. We're playing husband and wife.
In
a house, and we're not getting married. That was unheard of back in the days. The parents
really
of a
unacceptable.
Woman it's unacceptable. It's because you're playing husband and wife. You're living with a wife. You're living with a woman. You're doing all this. It's like she's your roommate.
Yep.
But you have sex with her.
And you're kind of freed from the responsibility of commitment.
Yeah.
So you're in that circle now. Yeah, you live with her.
When everything goes sour, you just go the other way.
You always got a back door.
You always got the back door.
So commitment, and that goes back kind of what we spoke about previous episode, bit social media culture, talking about dating websites. One swipe, you got another. You know what I'm saying? So that's so ingrained that even when we move in with a woman, now we're just moving in because, like, it's for us.
Because we gotta pay the rent. We gotta pay the rent. We need a roommate. It's like I'm either gonna move in with my boy
we gotta
or my
pay
girlfriend.
the rent too. Yeah, that's a practical one.
Yeah,
that's
crazy. That's the reality.
But it was designed like, oh man,
we're either gonna move in with our friend, our coworker, or our girlfriend. you might as well move in with your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's what's going on.
So there's not a sense of commitment in our culture. And it's like, the more we talk about this, I realize, like, in our culture, our God is sex.
Okay, explain that.
Like, what I mean by that is what runs our decisions, I feel, right, is a sense of like being manly is sleeping with multiple girls.
Yeah, of course.
And then even with women now, is even more acceptable for them to kind of just be a little more promiscuous. It's like, oh, we can be like, yeah, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, it's like we can sleep with a guy and they won't hurt us too.
Exactly.
Like,
so sex is like it's elevated at such a high level. I wouldn't even say a high level. It's elevated in a distorted way.
It's desensitized.
It's desensitized,
it's made
where
to mean nothing.
The real meaning of it is stripped away. Yeah. So now it's like, this is why I say that's our God, because it's like that's what we go after so much.
That's what we worship.
That's what we worship. That's what we go after. And really, there's no sense of commitment. No. If we have a commitment, it's to self.
Because true commitment is sacrifice. True commitment is sacrifice.
True commitment, exactly, is sacrifice. So if we're talking about commitment, this commitment is to self. But I would even question if that's a commitment in itself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because like you can easily be selfish.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You can easily just give yourself what you want. So I think it even takes away from the topic of not even the topic, the institution, the religiosity around and the godliness, let's say, of marriage.
Yes. So then that leads me to my last point on why it is that millennials have been given the short end of the stick. And it's because millennials, also proven, are less religious. Marriage is through religion. Marriage, in its nature, is a religious act. If you're less religious, then you're less likely to believe in marriage. Marriage is a leap of faith. This is my, you know, and I'll say personally, you know, before walking in the faith, I always believed that our generation was not made to you know, for us to basically mate and build families together. Because
you shared that a little. That was real interesting.
Yeah,
like, what you mean by that? Like,
well,
were we set up?
Because of all these reasons that we just put on the table on why it is that millennials have gotten the short end of the stick, is why our generation is just not made for it. Like, I feel like personally, like as men, we weren't equipped well enough to be husbands, and women weren't equipped well enough to be wives.
Ooh.
So we have a whole lot of people running around saying, yo, there's no good women, there's no good men. And that is the case. You know, you speak to 28, 29-year-old college grads, single, you know, good salaries, and they'll tell you why. You ask them, why are you not married? And it's like, oh, because I can't find anyone. You know, that's usually the reason. It's like, wow, you're 29, you can't find anyone.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you have so much going on for yourself. You know, same for men. Like, you can't find anyone.
Yeah, but on both ends is because of what's emphasized.
So now I feel like I feel like we haven't been equipped with what it takes to basically be a husband or be a wife and make that commitment. Yep. And the fact that we are less religious, the fact that we you know, more of us, you know, I guess don't believe in God anymore. Marriage is a leap of faith. And what is faith? God is faith. God is love. And if you don't believe in that, then then you're less likely to be married. You're less likely to take the leap of faith. Why is it? People did not, like, fertility rate is low, right? Women aren't having children like they used to, right? So, but it's not like women aren't having sex. You know, we're all still having sex. If anything, that's gone up. You know, there are more people having sex now at a younger age than ever.
But yet there are less.
We're producing even less.
But abortions are even higher too.
Abortions,
you know what I'm saying? So that's like plays one in the other, because you look at fertility rate, and then you look at abortion, and then, you know, there's so many angles to tackle abortion, because
babies are considered mistakes.
Babies are considered mistakes. No longer really a blessing. But I think a big part of that is because you can't have, it goes back to the family. You can't have a healthy family. I mean, like a healthy upbringing, right? Having a son, daughter. And I still sternly believe that the dad and the mom being at home is just the most effective way, not to only raise up a kid, but even have an impact beyond that community, you know? So when I look at, and this is what I got in my mind. So now when I look at movements, like the feminist movement and what our culture is doing, I think it's just stripping away from that a little bit, because the goal is not for women to be like men or for men to not value women and not really want to give.
You could say men
rights.
Be like women,
or men be like women. Yeah, okay, yeah. We can reverse the role. The goal is really to each find their unique role. You know what I'm saying? Their unique design. You know, because we're designed just differently. But nowadays, even saying a statement like that, you consider a sexist.
It's considered hate speech.
Or hate speech. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, no. What I'm highlighting is we're just different.
Did you know like Facebook has like, and I read this the other day, you on Facebook, so you will know what that it has like 50 something like sex types or something like that?
I didn't know
Did
that.
You hear about
50 sex types?
Yeah.
Nah,
so
that's just wild crazy.
Yeah, there's something
I'm
like
on
that.
Facebook now.
Or like status types or something around like sex types basically, like where people are considering themselves more than just male or female. And that's where the design, once you lose track of the design of what a male is and what a female is, you give openings to people saying, oh, I'm this, I'm no longer a male. But it's like,
but then if you don't support that, that's when hate speech comes in, stuff like that, you know, because now, you know what, it's not even using support. That's like, why can't we no longer disagree, but still love, right? Just because I am in opposition with something or have a different view.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, so to that right here.
Wait. Why could we no longer say that again? Why can we no longer disagree, right? Or have an opposing view, which is just nature. People have different opinions, different views, but still love.
And people need to defend those things. You know, I think the most important thing, not to defend the views, but to love one another. But why can't we have different views, but still
love one another
in that process? But now me saying like, I don't stand for a certain, like, I'm like, you know, I don't feel like you can just wake up and say you're a woman, right? That's not going to mean I'm like, yo, I can't mess with you no more. I still love you and all that, but I believe there's a certain design. I believe we were created a certain way. But now, if any pushback you give is considered hate speech.
But the reason you believe that is because you believe in God.
Yeah, I believe in the design.
And it comes back to that. If you believe in God, then you believe in the design. If you don't believe in God, then there is no design. And if there is no design...
Wait, you think there is no design?
If you don't believe in God, there is no design.
There is design, even if you don't believe in God, I would say.
No, why you think you have people nowadays that are... You have this one guy or girl, I'm not sure what they are now, but that they pretty much consider themselves neither sex.
Yeah, but listen, truth is truth. Whether you believe in God or not, we are designed a certain
You make
way.
your own truth without God. God is truth. If you don't believe in God, you don't believe in truth.
Yeah, but you're making your truth. But history shows, like, even if you're not religious, men are designed a certain way and women are. There's certain things that
if you don't believe in God, man, you can make up anything you want.
You can make it up, but what would the facts show? A man, and it's not about here being like, oh, a man is better, a woman is better. It's clear indications of how a woman and a man is designed. But saying any of those things or getting into specifics, now you're labeled a sexist, or you're kind of just like, oh man, I should have never said that. So, you know what I'm saying? I heard something about like now it's considered offensive to open a door for a woman because she gets offended because she could do that herself.
That used to be a gentleman thing to do.
That's just a gentleman thing to do. I'm not opening the door because
microaggression, though.
I'm not microaggression, exactly. I'm not opening the door because you're incapable. You get what I'm saying? I'm opening the door because I'm just trying to be nice. I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying? But now is like, so now this is what they're fighting for. So now you're fighting for
to get treated like men.
To get treated like men, which is the big one there.
Men and man can't get married now, right? So I was gonna say men and man can't get married. Men and man can't get married.
Can get married now.
Can, yes.
Yeah.
But that's not.
Is it legal? Is it legal in all states? That
it's definitely
same-sex marriage is
legal
in
New New York. I'm not sure if it's all states. I think
it's legal in a few states.
New York, but men and man can't make family. We know that.
Oh. I agree with that, but
that's a common sense.
No,
right?
I'm saying because I don't think everybody would agree with that.
To me, no, men and man can't procreate. They
can't procreate, but you're saying like, what if they adopt kids and have family?
Oh, they can make family that way, but they can't naturally.
Even at that, are they truly making family?
Yeah. No, at that, I would give them that. I think whenever you gather up, you know, adults and kids, and you raise them together, that's a family. Whether that's a healthy family or anything like that, that's left up for debate.
Yeah, that goes back to design.
That goes back to design and stuff like
what's
that.
What's the role of a woman?
But man and man can't make natural family. right? Women and women can't make natural procreation family.
No, definitely not.
So where do we stand? And even with gay marriage being allowed, marriage rate is still low. That's what's crazy. You know, back in the days when marriage rate wasn't, when gay marriage was not allowed, you know, they weren't really allowed to be married. So yeah, so I feel like obviously the fact that we've now allowed gays to be married and the marriage rate is lower than it's ever been goes to show that, you know, I in my personal opinion, I feel like, you know, religious is one of the big reasons on why. Religion is one of the big reasons why people aren't getting married. Like then God. If you look at, God, I mean, and that's the thing, the crazy part, we don't even got to believe in the same God, you know, because even if you look across, you know, statistics, the people that are getting married are usually for some religious, you know, unfortunately, you know, you'll have some arranged marriages and stuff like that, but marriage nonetheless.
That goes into something else. Not all those marriages are even healthy or stuff like that, you know, or have the true design of what marriage is.
But obviously, you know, our economy being hurt and us needing, you know, both parties to work and no one really being ready for a baby ever, you know, and settling to be roommates is probably the heart of why it is that we're not married.
Yeah, that's good right there. And speaking about marriages, so do you think the main cause of that is because marriage has been legalized with same sex and all that? Is that what you're saying? Or like, because I don't feel like that's the heart of it, you know?
No, I just think it's ironic the fact that same sex marriage has been legalized and our marriage rate is still low. So now we have more possibilities of different kind of marriages where before it was just traditional men and women. Now we are legally allowed to have men and men, women and women, and our marriage rate is still low.
Ah, okay.
I mean, that's where I'm kind of heading at, you know?
Yeah.
So now, like, pretty much no one has an excuse to not get married, but the one and only excuse that everybody has and everybody does use is, I haven't found the right one. And no one is finding the right one. That means that there are no right ones. And if there are no right ones, it's our culture.
Yeah, it's almost like marriage doesn't equate to happiness no more. Or marriage doesn't equate to like a sense of like fulfillment no more.
Because it's sacrifice.
You know, man, it's sacrifice. So that goes back to like, man, like we've stripped away in our culture a sense of true love, right?
Yes.
Because you can't love someone while still being a child, right? Like while still having, while still not growing up and owning up to responsibilities and roles. So if our society makes it more difficult for us to step into what it is to be a man and a woman, automatically you see the disruption of the family. Yes. Because now I would say singleness is equated to happiness.
like you know what I see where you're going, but speak.
Like what I mean by that is we value our freedom so much. We value like what we want to do so much that singleness, although you might still want to sleep with women here, do this here and kind of just take advantage and live your own life.
You still want a companion, right? At times, even when you're single.
Yeah. You still want a companion, but again, you don't value commitment. You don't value sacrifice. Ultimately, you don't value love. What you value is your own need.
Yes.
Right? Your own need for, and then that even connects with what you talked about a little earlier. Your own need for sex. Your own need, and even in a vaguer way, your own need for pleasure.
Yeah.
So now like singleness is like I don't know if you heard the term, like, yo, you gonna be tied down? Like, yo, yo, she got you on lock, or you tied down. You know what I'm saying? All these things come from really like,
and women get the same from each other.
Yeah,
that's the scary part, is that now we have both parties that are basically looking at relationships as almost like a negative connotation, unless it's perfect. Unless it's perfect. If relationships is perfect, then there's no negative connotation.
That's where the problem lies.
Relationships aren't
because
perfect.
Relationships are not even meant to be perfect.
Because people aren't perfect.
So ultimately, relationships are meant to really like bring a notion of sacrifice, not even the reality of it, of love, sacrifice, family, and really like building up a family community.
Yes.
Ultimately a nation. But it's like, wow, that's good right there, because now I'm thinking about it. What do we value?
But who teaches sacrifice, faith, love, and what the hardship it takes to maintain that? That's God.
That's God.
God teaches that.
That's God. You got to go beyond yourself.
If you don't believe in God, then that's why. And I say that because before I started walking the faith, which was like about a little over 2 years ago now, I honestly believe like I'm going to be single and I'm okay with it. And I'm going to save money. I'm going to save headaches. I'm going to save stress. I'm going to be all right, you know? And it's because of the hard work that it takes. I figured, why sign up for that hard work? That's what most millennials think. Why? Marriage is a choice. Why sign up for that choice? Even having children.
Why not have a kind of fabricated kind of marriage, still enjoy the benefits of it?
Yeah.
And kind of just live
Why not have
life?
your cake and eat it too? Why not move in, my girlfriend? Have her like a wife. Be like a husband. And worst case scenario, things don't work out. I'm out the back door without the papers. That's a win-win in millennials' eyes. But if you don't believe in God, of course it's a win-win. If you don't
that's a win-win because
you live for yourself. If you live for yourself, it's a win-win. And that's why I say less religious is definitely part of it. Marriage is a religious act. It's a leap of faith, and that's kind of where we're at. But again, why are we stressing on this? Going back to the beginning, because the family is extremely important to the health of the community, to the health of society. So what we have now is less families, and we have a hot mess on our hand. We have a bad economy. We have we have this great division in our country: men and women, blacks and whites, cops and people. Like, we just have all kind of division everywhere. Democrats, Republicans, left and right. Again, it starts with families. You have families that are broken up, even families that are together, but the man is out working, the woman is out working, the kids are being raised. We spoke about this. The kids are being raised by social media and television. The kids are being raised by, right?
Because you mentioned something a little earlier when you was like, it takes a village.
That's a famous saying. It takes a village to raise a kid.
It takes a village to raise a kid.
But ultimately,
to build a family.
To build family. Yeah. Ultimately, the child is raised in a home. But what if in that home the dad is working and the mom
and social media is the biggest influence.
So who's raising?
Which is a virtual kind of world. Now your biggest influence is not even going outside playing. Like, you don't have these luxuries no more.
You don't have that.
But it's okay if you don't have that, if you have your parents or if you have family. But now it's not even.
You have a nanny.
Family.
You have
a nanny.
And what's the nanny telling you to do? Or go watch TV?
Not really.
And what's TV telling you to do? We discussed what advertisement and pop culture is doing, right? We just went through pop culture and everything.
So that's what's raising your child. Ultimately, what's raising your child, it's the direction of like how every child should be raised as far as TV, Netflix, stuff like that. And then the influence of the parents, as much as they want to be involved. But because the way things are set up, it's just not as doable.
And that's why I say we were given the short end of the stick as millennials because of that. Because even if you want to be there, I'm sure, guarantee that all parents want to be there for their children all the time. But the truth is, you can't. And that's why it's almost considered a smart decision to not have children.
Yeah, that's kind of sad.
If you're a woman, it's proven that if you do not have a child, you are more likely to make more money than your counterpart that has a child.
Yeah.
That right there is an incentive to not build a family. I get it. I don't agree with it. I wish it was different, but I understand it, and I do definitely get it. And now you have shows like Teen Mom and 16 and Pregnant that are really emphasizing don't have children.
Not only that, but live this kind of lifestyle. They go beyond that. Where like a broken family is not only all right, but it's the norm.
It's the norm. Yeah. It's okay.
Man, that's
every girl that's young and pregnant goes through it. You're gonna have a dumb baby father's gonna leave you.
Yeah, I would say this too. I still feel we have a responsibility as men and women to still push back, because the only hope is the family. I feel the only hope is that in itself and what God is building through that. You know what I'm saying? And what God is doing through that.
Here's the challenge, though.
It's a big challenge.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead. What are you going to say?
No, you want to finish that point?
No, you said here's the challenge. But
here's the challenge. How do you get there without God? Because that's what these millennials have. They don't have God. So how do they get there to that point of being willing to take on that sacrifice, take that leap of faith? Marriage is a leap of faith, taking that on without God.
What does God allow you to do that makes you want to commit, be in a relationship, get married, and serve the other person? Like, what how would you answer? Like, what?
I think you're better equipped to answer that than me. But I'll give you my answer anyways, and you
I'll continue.
Please rebuttal it. But I feel like, honestly, God gives you faith. God is love. God gives you faith. God teaches you what love is. Love is sacrifice. Love is not what TV tells you. Love is not, your partner would be the perfect person because because you're imperfect. if anything, your partner shows you your imperfections. Love exemplifies. It exemplifies.
That's what it does. Really.
And it makes you.
You will hear that in marriages. A lot of people, say.
But we're taught in a way with this whole idea of the one or soulmate, where it's like a perfect kind of person. And once we realize that the person that we do love or the person that we do care for isn't perfect, we no longer, they become disposable, because it's so easy to meet people.
Yeah, that's so good right there, because ultimately, without God, what you're saying is you're going to put your ultimate hope on that person. Yes. Like without God, we all have a void, which is why, like, I don't care who you are, what you believe in, you have a void that you want to fill, which is why you seek it with other things, as far as relationships, maybe a career, stuff. I think we all have that. But to go off what you said, without God, what happens is our ultimate source, our ultimate consciousness becomes, man, if this person lets me down in this way, maybe she's not or he's not compatible with me, or maybe she's not the right person, rather than, no, like, nobody's the perfect person for you. Because love in itself is action. But you know what we've done? This goes back to our culture and everything. We centralize love. Now love is the strongest form of love now in our culture is a feeling. And that is the most dangerous lie.
What is love if it's not a feeling?
It's really a commitment and an action. Like, it's not void of a feeling. Don't get me wrong, right? It's not void of a feeling. But the ultimate form of love is not feeling.
Now, and that commitment is shown through marriage, isn't it?
Oh, ultimately, it's shown through marriage, yeah.
And we have so it goes. It keeps going back to God.
We the millennials coined the term selfie. You know that?
The term
selfie.
What? Selfie?
Yeah, like, taking a selfie and all that.
Picture of yourself, yes.
From millennials, bro. Yes. So we spoke about this last episode. So that in itself, the reason I'm bringing that up is because thinking of our culture, and you mentioned marriage and all that, like, we live in a very selfish, centralized culture that is really about ourselves. So anything close to a committed relationship, to sacrifice, it's kind of even looked at as old school if you believe in God.
You know what that is that if you live for yourself, you live by yourself, right? Ultimately, because you live for yourself. Ultimately, God gives you what you want.
Wait, what do you mean by that? If you live
for yourself, you live by yourself.
Okay,
so you live alone. And what we have now, which is a perfect entry from you to talk about the fertility rate. We have a low fertility rate, right? So I did a little research going into this, and I'm gonna try to explain this as quick as possible, right? So the fertility rate to keep to keep population at a steady growth is 2.1 babies per woman.
Okay.
Right. So that's to account for the mother and the father, the two, and then the 0.1 is then to account for the people who can't conceive. That's the way the rate is.
So husband and a wife, 2.1.
Yeah, that's
within that unit. Within that unit, 2.1.
Yeah. So
whenever 0.1 is accounting for
exactly
for what
for the people who can't conceive, right?
Okay, yeah.
So that's the formula that's used. So whenever you hear fertility rate, that's the formula that they're going off, right? 2.1 is to continue a steady growth, right? So anything over 2.1, you're having an increase in growth. Anything under 2.1, you're having depopulation.
Okay.
Right? Your population is now getting smaller. Whenever women are having less than 2.1 babies. As of 2016, we're at 0.7.
Oof.
Right? So that's like
0.7.
That's like under 1. That's pretty insane. So, and the reason I thought of that just now is because of what you said about that selfishness. So it's like, yeah, well, if you live for yourself, you're going to live by yourself. You're going to have no kids. You're going to be all alone.
That's not going to be a priority. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's not going to be a priority.
Priority is you.
All alone. The priority is you. So what does that mean for the future? What that means for the future is that we're not having many babies. So the population is now decreasing.
But what does that mean for, in general, like family, communities? What do you think that leads to?
I mean, the fact that we're talking about depopulation, I think that right there is the worst of all. Like you ideally, you have some third world countries that are well above 2.1 and they can't sustain. So we don't want to be well above 2.1. We want to be like the Congos were like at 5 or something crazy like that. We don't want to be that high, but ideally America, in the 70s and the 80s, we were at about 2.1, 2.5, which is perfect.
So whatever was that?
This 80s, 70s times were good when the man could work and the woman could stay at home. And
so it's kind of a relation.
Family.
it's kind of in direct relation to our economy, kind of too.
It directly impacts our economy, yeah. Because if we don't have a future, then we don't have no kind of like social security.
No, but I think I'm saying our economy impacts that, like the state of our economy impacts.
Well, obviously we're more scared to have children and build a family because we ourselves aren't established enough, as millennials. So that's why I say we were given the short end of the stick. I don't blame millennials just on their own because we are a product of our environment. We try to survive what was best given to us. That's ultimately
kind of driven by fear.
We're driven by fear. But if you don't have God, you lose track of that. And that's why I keep coming back to it. Because it doesn't make any sense, without God. You don't have God. What you have is we have depopulation going because people are thinking more about the self.
Yep.
We have a wrong idea of what love is and what marriage is, and we want to play everything safe. You're willing to play things safe because you're thinking about the self. Taking a leap of faith comes through God. Marriage is a leap of faith.
So you think all these things we spoke about as far as pop culture, feminism,
pop culture has
and all these things like have played a
pop culture
huge role in it? You're saying,
obviously we grew up in the urban community.
Yeah.
And Washington Heights, obviously, so for us it was more, I guess, hip hop culture. But pop culture or hip hop culture, either or. What do they depict women
honing
as?
in on hip hop culture a little bit, man.
Yeah.
I think I do think that's a big one, bro.
Oh, it's
like
huge.
I love keep it real. I love hip hop, man. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy the music. But the reality of it is, I think it has played a huge role, and then we kind of refuse to acknowledge it because it's kind of our escape. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of what we want to hold on to a little bit, but and it's not a shot at the music itself. It's just
the culture. Hip hop is a culture.
Hip hop is a culture. Hip hop is a culture, and what they're emphasizing. So that plays a huge role.
If you live in the urban community, hip hop is life.
Yeah,
hip hop is everything from the way you dress, the way you talk,
the influence,
what you listen to, the way you walk, the way you approach people. Everything about you is hip hop from the urban community.
Yeah. And what is the hip hop culture? Yeah, what is one of the big things in hip hop is what?
Is women.
I would say
objectifying women is a big one.
Objectifying
and women
is one that's like
women accepting that because
they're accepting it because they're like, oh, this is the norm.
Yeah, because
they're also influenced by the hip hop culture. So now they no longer even want to challenge that. They're just like, this is the norm, which causes men to think like that's okay, and causes women to think that there's no hope.
Yes.
That's such a big
now,
thing.
What are you attracted to as a man? You're attracted to that kind of like bad chick. That's what we're attracted to. That. Wow, like look at her body, her nails, her ass, all that beautiful. That's what we're attracted to. What are women attracted to? Look at him. He looks like a player. He looks like this. He looks like that. But all that goes against building a family, which goes back. Once again, that's back to the self. So that's why I say again, what we have been deemed to looked at as like, oh, that's the right kind of guy if you're a woman to be with, or that's the right kind of woman to be with. It's like we've just
been fed so many things that lead us to
the design has been flipped on its head.
Design has been flipped on its head. And then it's flipped on its head, and now we think that that's the norm, which is what's the dangerous part about it.
Yes.
Like we're not even aware that it's flipped on its head. We're like, this is the norm.
Yes.
And now our you mentioned in our culture, and I'm thinking about expectations now we have here in relationships, right? Like pornography. $billion industry, bro. It's multi-billion-dollar industry. You know what I'm saying? And then
pornography is king in America more than any other country.
Which is why I said it earlier, like sex is our God.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There you go. Because you're saying pornography is king. Sex, what I said it earlier, sex is like our God for millennials. You know what I'm saying? And even more generations. You know, like this is it's so into our generation now that our decisions are based on that. Right?
What you mean?
Like this is what I mean, right? I'm talking about family again, right?
Okay.
Our decision to be with a woman, to build a family, our bar is where? Our bar is that what we see every day, and especially what we see through pornography.
Yes.
Like that's what our education, right?
Let's be more transparent. Yeah, like men try to do what they see in pornography, and women try to do what they see in pornography. That's what we expect.
That's the reality of it, bro.
That's what we expect.
And that's success to men and women. I say men and women because, you know, like I know there's women too. I mean, maybe it's more prevalent through men. But
they're the ones being objectified for the most part.
They're the bomb. Yeah, the women are the one being objectified. But it's like, man, naming all these things we mentioned today, like there's a lot of things that are in the way of us really like pushing back and pushing forward. But I do think it's possible for us to do that, but it really takes an army of men standing up and really like saying like, yo, this is what a man should be. And an army of women standing up and being like, yo, this is what a woman is. And it's not about being better than one another. It's about really being like, what's best.
But it comes back, that army to have touched everybody, where does it need to come from? In my opinion, it needs to come through, pop culture, social media, because that's who's raising our kids.
Yeah, but the thing is, the ultimate influence starts with the individual in real life, right? Like we talk about social media now, so I don't feel like ultimately
the individual is influenced by the media.
It is, but this is where the shift comes in. The shift comes in is in our culture, us taking a stance, and yes, using social media and everything we have, but taking a stance in the way we live our lives, right? Taking a stance in the way we show what a man is, in the way we stand up for things, although we might be called sexist, although we might be called names.
That's the thing.
Really standing up for it.
Is that fear? Is that fear that we have in hate speech?
Yeah,
is a true fear. Like I'm very, very, very cautious. If you talk to people that know me, they might say I'm not cautious, but I promise I try to be cautious at least.
Yeah.
Of how you speak, because anything can be construed as hate speech. And if you challenge that design, if you say no, that's more of a woman thing to do, or that's more of a man thing to do, that's hate speech.
Yep.
But it's not to say that women are incapable of doing what men can do and men are incapable of what women can do. It's that going back to what you said.
Yeah,
is that men have their natural strengths and women have their natural strengths that complement each other.
I would even say women can do things way better than men can do in a lot of cases. But the point is, what's the design as far as for us to live in a certain way and really complement each other?
Yes.
Right? Because ultimately, we can get into a conversation about, ultimately, there's men and women, bro. Historically, this is the only generation that this is for the first time being a discussion, bro.
Yeah.
But ultimately, let's keep it real. There's men and women, and there's certain designs behind it. And nobody ever questioned like, oh, no. The man, because let's say he's fighting the war, he's better. Oh, that doesn't mean he's better.
The women had a big role in what they did at war.
Huge war. Huge, bro.
Yeah.
One cannot live without the other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I think this goes back to how our culture and society is educating us. You know what I'm saying? And then in thinking of how our culture is educating us, that goes back to like what we believe. Right? That goes back to what we see. That goes back to
who's raising us. And now you mentioned education. Our teachers and professors are definitely playing a big role in shaping our minds and how it is that how we view the world.
Huge role, man. And I'm definitely.
But you know what kills me is that you don't even have to be believing in God or anything to agree that your role as a human being is be good, do your part, reproduce, and then teach that on how to do its part and be good. And that's your role ultimately. Like, isn't that what life is about? Is, set an example for your next generation to then set an example for their next generation.
If it goes beyond yourself.
But you need to think above yourself for that.
But the culture's not.
The culture's
not designed to do that right now. You know what I'm saying? It hasn't been coached to do that. But, man, I love what you said on education. Because in thinking of education, I feel like that's a huge also umbrella, man, that I would love to get into moving forward, because ultimately what we spoke about is how our culture is educating us.
Yeah.
Right? And how advertisement are educating us. Last week we spoke about how social media is educating us. But I think thinking about education is something worth getting into, man. But sneak peek. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, I said we'll definitely dive into education.
Yeah. We'll definitely dive into that. We definitely got a surprise. We're thinking following episode.
Yeah.
Talk a bit about education and
college education to be exact.
Yeah, college education, but I think that is going to roll into a much more fruitful conversation of education as a whole.
Yes.
Because when I think of college is the most one that people understand clearly. Like, go to school, get a good education, the brainwashing we went through when we were young, we don't remember. Yeah.
So let's stick to college. Yeah.
Ooh, with that said. yeah. Ooh, he just threw it in there. But with that said, that's a good comment. So, yeah, man, but definitely stay tuned because we're going to continue to unpack a lot of deeper topics, but most importantly,
this is just the beginning.
This is just the beginning for sure, man. We got a lot of stuff, and it's not to only talk about crazy things on purpose, just really to going back to the vision, to spark that curiosity and raise that awareness to what the truth is and what it is. To have people weigh it out.
Yeah, let's challenge each other. That's what life is about, man.
We gotta let
put things on the table. Let's discuss them. Let's call them for what it is, and let's discuss, man. Let's have open dialogue. There's no hate speech. There's nothing wrong with what we're saying. Nothing wrong with any rebuttals you guys have.
Yeah, man. We agree as family. We can disagree as family.
Yeah.
But some people don't look at it like that.
Our job is to love, man. Like at the end of the day, our job is to love and care for one another.
Yeah,
and if we disagree, then we disagree, and we can learn from each other even better. That's what we're challenging. We live in a much better world that we can all kind of just discuss versus all agree. I think that's kind of where we're at, where we all have to agree. I don't think we all have to agree. We don't learn if we all agree.
Yeah, we don't have that to agree. But man, that's so good, man. But again, this was a good topic we spoke about.
Great topic,
yeah, this is great, man. There's so much to say about this, but I think we did a good job of honing in on some important things we wanted to talk about. And I know people have a lot of thoughts on what we said, so that's always exciting to us. Not because please reach out to us, man. Leave that rating, comment on iTunes again, or email us at macallan.friends@gmail.com if you got any questions, concerns, thoughts, just so we can see what people are thinking, feeling, the direction we're moving. But nonetheless, stay tuned for next week, man, because we think of bringing a guest through. Getting deeper into a topic and just laying y'all in a little more into the direction we're moving. But yeah, thanks again. Thanks for tuning. Yes, sir. Macallan and Friends, brought to you by Upstream.
She don't wanna be safe. She don't wanna be safe. She don't wanna be safe.
Hey, Vaughn.
She don't wanna be. She don't wanna be safe. She don't wanna be safe. She don't wanna be safe. She don't wanna be. She don't wanna be safe. She don't wanna be safe. She don't wanna be safe. She don't wanna be.
I seen Keisha up on Dykeman. One from high school with the nice friends. Not the dark one, but the light skin. She push her bands with some lights. Riding dirty with no license. So I followed her on Instagram. Seen the strip and she ain't like this. Tryna get her where her mind is. She told me she grinding and had a kid. So she do what she do cause she gotta live. She tryna offer me her services. Drugs, sex and those scam checks. I could tell she off a Xanax. Started reaching for my hand next. Then she taking life for granted. I just can't understand it.
Before you talk about Keisha tryna air out, funny thing is you ain't never ever hear out. You a grown man with issues of your own, no. So why you wasting time stalking Keisha whereabouts? You don't see everything she gotta deal with. Lots of pain in her makeup to conceal her. Drown her sorrows in a bottle of tequila. All that pressure on her heart will probably kill her.
She don't wanna be safe. She don't wanna be safe. She don't wanna be safe. She don't wanna be. She don't wanna be safe. She don't wanna be safe. She don't wanna be safe. She don't wanna be. She don't wanna be safe. She don't wanna be safe. She don't wanna be safe. She don't wanna be. I can save her. I can save her. I can save her.
You crazy, you loco, tryna wipe it up, that's a no-no.
Why you judging on the past? That's a low blow.
You gotta tell that girl bounce like a pogo. Bounce, 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 bounce,
You always be so quick to talk about others, so please tell me what Keisha did to you. Like why is you mad that I really do love her? Like I can't love her and be friends with you.
Tell me why you got the sympathy for her. Might as well play a symphony for her.
Funny cause all that you said was true, but don't judge for her what I did for you.